Pick up your phone right now. With one tap, you can warn someone hundreds of miles away that a storm is coming, a road is blocked, or a person is in danger. Now rip it away. For nearly 300,000 years, there was no phone, no radio, no writing, and one missed warning could leave an entire group walking toward fire, flood, hunger, or death. So how did ancient humans send a message farther than a human voice could carry? In 1949, missionary and linguist John Carrington documented something extraordinary among Kele-speaking communities in Central Africa. Their drums were not merely making signals, they were speaking. Imagine you are standing in a forest where the trees swallow sound. A neighboring community has seen armed strangers moving toward you. They cannot write a warning. A runner may take hours and arrive too late. But then a wooden drum begins beating in the distance. The rhythm changes. Another drum answers farther away, then another. The message is moving faster than any person can run. Many African languages are tonal, meaning the pitch of a syllable can change the meaning of a word. Talking drums could imitate those rising and falling patterns. The drummer squeezed chords under one arm to tighten the drumhead, changing its pitch while striking it with the other hand. The result was not an alphabet, and not a simple code like one beat for danger. It echoed the melody and rhythm of actual speech. There was a problem. A drum cannot reproduce every consonant and vowel, so many words sound identical when reduced to pitch. The solution was repetition and poetic detail. Instead of drumming a short word, such as moon, a drummer might send a longer phrase describing the moon as the object that looks down upon the earth. Context removed the ambiguity. That made messages longer but harder to misunderstand. A listener did not hear a few mysterious beats. They heard familiar formulas, names, proverbs, and descriptions. News of a death, a gathering, an approaching visitor, or an emergency could travel between communities without a single written symbol. And drums were only useful where people could hear them. In open country, humans turned the horizon itself into a communication device. Smoke can be visible from miles away, especially when sent from a ridge. But the popular image of someone casually writing detailed sentences in the sky is misleading. Smoke is easily distorted by wind, rain, distance, and terrain. It worked best when everyone already knew what a limited set of signals meant. One column might announce the arrival of travelers. Repeated bursts might call people together. Fires on high ground could warn that danger was approaching. The exact meanings varied enormously between cultures because there was never one universal smoke language. The real power came from relays. A person on one hill sees the signal and lights another fire. Someone on the next ridge repeats it. The information jumps across the landscape without anyone crossing the ground between them. Ancient states later turned this principle into military infrastructure. Watchtowers along frontiers in China used beacon fires and smoke to warn of attacks. Greek sources also describe chains of fire signals. These societies possessed writing, but their beacons reveal how a much older method could defeat distance when speed mattered more than detail. A flame could say danger is coming. It could not easily tell you who was coming, how many there were, or which path they had taken. For that, the message needed legs. A practiced runner can carry precise spoken information through forests, mountains, and darkness. The weakness is obvious. One injury, one wrong turn, or one lapse of memory can destroy the message. Human societies answered that weakness by building chains of people. The Inca chasqui system offers one of the clearest later examples. Young runners waited at relay stations along a road network stretching through the Andes. One runner would approach, call out the message, and transfer it to the next runner, who continued without waiting for the first to recover. Information could move astonishing distances through thin mountain air. The Inca also used knotted cords, called quipu, to preserve numbers and other information, but runners still carried spoken messages. The crucial technology was not merely the road, it was the relay. Fresh lungs replaced tired lungs, while repetition protected the words. Now imagine the warning from the forest again. Armed strangers are moving toward your camp, but your relatives are 2 valleys away. A drum reaches the nearest settlement. A runner there hears it, memorizes the fuller message, and takes a known path through the hills. At the next camp, the warning splits. One person signals from a ridge while 2 others run in different directions. No single method has to cross the entire distance. The network does it. Archaeology cannot preserve a shouted warning or a column of smoke, but it can reveal the routes along which information must have traveled. At Franchti Cave in Greece, archaeologists found obsidian from the volcanic island of Melos. Some of it dates to roughly 11,000 years ago. Reaching that source required a sea journey, and the stone then entered networks connecting people across the Aegean. Obsidian did not tell travelers where to sail. People did. Someone had to remember the island, the landing places, the dangerous currents, and the way home. That knowledge could pass from person to person along with the stone. When archaeologists find shells, pigments, stone, and ornaments hundreds of miles from their sources, they are seeing the surviving skeleton of a communication network. The goods moved because knowledge moved first. But what if the message had to survive not just distance, but time? What if your descendants needed to cross a desert long after you were dead? In Aboriginal Australian cultures, songs and stories could encode routes through the land. These traditions are often described in English as songlines, although the term compresses many distinct and living cultural systems into one label. A song might connect water sources, landmarks, animal behavior, ancestral events, and obligations to particular places. The landscape became a memory system. A bend in the route triggered one verse. A rock formation triggered another. Rhythm and narrative made complex knowledge easier to retain than a dry list of directions. That mattered because forgetting a water source in arid country was not an embarrassing mistake. It could kill you. A traveler did not need a paper map if the map lived in a sequence of songs, ceremonies, named places, and relationships with people along the route. Knowledge could cross generations because it was repeated, performed, and socially protected. Australian Aboriginal groups also used message sticks. These carved or marked objects could identify the messenger, support memory, and show that the carrier had authority to deliver an invitation or announcement. The marks were not necessarily a complete written message that any stranger could decode. Meaning often depended on the spoken explanation carried with the object. That reveals the part modern people usually miss. Ancient long-distance communication was rarely about sending information into an empty world. It depended on relationships. A smoke signal works only if someone is watching. A drum works only if someone understands the language. A runner works only if communities offer food, shelter, and the next runner. A song route works only if people preserve it accurately. The true communication technology was the network of trust, connecting human minds. Trade expanded that network. Seasonal gatherings brought dispersed groups together to exchange stone, food, partners, stories, and warnings. A hunter arriving with amber or obsidian might also bring news that a river had changed course, animals had shifted their migration, or conflict had closed a familiar route. The message could then travel onward with someone else. It might change slightly, but redundancy helped. Several travelers could carry the same news by different paths. If one failed, another might arrive. There is one final advantage your phone does not automatically provide. Ancient messages were often designed to be remembered. Repetition, rhythm, imagery, fixed phrases, and public performance made information stick. A warning delivered before witnesses could be corrected if the messenger misspoke. A route embedded in a song could be rehearsed repeatedly. A vital message did not sit unread in an inbox. It entered the community. So how did ancient humans send messages across vast distances without writing? They turned hills into towers, drums into voices, runners into relays, songs into maps, and entire communities into a living network. And the next mystery is how much of that network still lies hidden beneath the roads we use today.